This morning, we're in northern Idaho to fish Lake Pend Orielle. It's summer, and we're guided by Zach Moore of Fins and Feathers Guide Service.
So we're out here on Lake Pend Orielle today. We're gonna go target some kokanee and some camloop rainbows. We have a unique strain of rainbow in this lake that they brought down from Canada. They're a strain that tends to get a little bit bigger than most rainbow species. We catch them in excess of 20 pounds. Often, but usually average would be anywhere from 8 to maybe 15 pounds. We're gonna be using some Mack sling blades and some hoochies, some smaller stuff, and we're gonna be fishing them on the downriggers. In the summer, they tend to be 40 to even 150 feet deep sometimes. Running 6 rods. This lake's really deep, so we just gotta find the right spot, really. Hopefully we set up right on top of them, and if we're catching some kokanee, then we'll know that we're in the right spot to hopefully catch a nice big camloop rainbow.
Yeah, so we're up here at Pend Orielle Lake. It's about 25-30 minutes north of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We're launching out of Bayview, so we're on the south end of Pend Orielle. The north end stretches all the way to the town of Sandpoint, Idaho. It's a fairly large, fairly deep lake. It's over 1,000 feet deep. They have a naval base here where they do submarine testing and sonar testing out here. So it's a big body of water, stretches a long ways. It's a little breezy today, but it should be okay. It's a big, beautiful, steep lake, so we should have a great time out here.
We're gonna start out here at the concrete plant. Typically in August, I catch a lot of these fish, more or less staging up out here at what we call the concrete plant before they end up going back into Button Hook where they spawn along the lakeshore. The name of the game out here is just kind of find the bait, fish around the bait, and usually the rainbows are just below it, just like if you were salmon fishing on the ocean or something. So we're gonna start there. We might make a couple jumps around, try to find where we can find the most kokanee and troll some stuff down below them for some bigger rainbows. So we're gonna run 6 rods today. I'm gonna stack them about 20 feet apart. We're gonna stack these side rods, and then we're just gonna run the back ones a little bit shallower. We're gonna run the rainbow stuff down a little bit deeper, the little bigger sling blades. And then we're gonna run some kokanee stuff up on top.
Big sling blade, a smile blade, and just a mini hoochie. Sending it out. We're stacking this rod about 20 feet above the other one. And then we'll send them down and probably try to be in the 80 and 60 foot range on these two. Starting out, and we be moving around, see where we're marking them here in a sec. We got the light scope on today.
We're gonna be running these Mack sling blades for the kokanee on top here. About a 20-25 inch leader, a little bit longer than you might see in other places. And then we got this Mack's wedding ring here with 1 piece of corn on each kernel. The spinny stuff seems to work better up here rather than the bigger hoochies. Do really well on the Mack's wedding rings up here for the kokanee. Yeah, we got kokanee down at 60. Now when you're stacking downriggers, you want to make sure you go really slow, otherwise the dodgers will they'll come up on each other and you could get tangled. Or pop it off.
What we did here is we took the Wally Pop and tied it up with a kokanee series here with the hooks close together. But this actually has a float inside it that gets that back end shaken. And in the front's a tapered bead, and you can actually slide this tapered bead out. It's a lot easier to get out of there when it's wet, but you can slide this out, get it wet and slide that out, and then you can put scent down inside the tube for a slow release. There you go. And then on the front end, we took 2 of the double D's and put them together to make a bigger profile and a lot more action than a normal dodger.
Kokanee heaven.
Welcome back to Lake Pend Orielle in the panhandle of Idaho. I'm Justin Wolf. Famous for its giant Kamloops rainbows, typically targeted in the spring and fall, plus big numbers of kokanee. We're here in summer, getting a breakdown of fishing this lake from Zach and Jordan from Fins and Feathers, along with Bob Schmidt of Mack's Lure.
So we got a pink corn here we're gonna be using. Pink is usually a good color, and I usually sweeten that up with some sweeter scents, some shrimps, and some, like even blue agave, like really sweet scent. And then this orange one, I usually do like more of an anise base. This dye is Procure Wizard corn dye. It works great. Just follow the instructions on the bottle and it'll keep the dye for a really long time. And it's even got some like bite stimulants and stuff in it that the fish seem to like. Yep, give it a good jerk. Pop it harder. There you go. Yeah, so we just hooked our first kokanee. It's on that little Mack sweating ring down there at 50 feet where we've been graphing them. Just lift them up. Yep, a little smaller one. This is a little smaller than our average size lately. Perfect bait though. I know there's probably some rainbows down there waiting to suck these things up. So hopefully one of these rainbow rods goes off soon. So the kokanee in this lake average roughly about 10 inches. It's a big forage base for the big rainbows we have in here. It's still a really popular fishery around here. A lot of people like to smoke them and can them, so people come out and get their limits pretty much all summer and you know, can them and smoke them for the rest of the year, so they got them on hand. Still fun fishing. It's something to fill in the dead times between rainbow bites, so at least you're staying busy and catching some fish. So we got a Mack sling blade, and then we're gonna run this coconut behind it with a piece of corn on each kernel. Haven't ran these a bunch, but we're gonna see how it does today. I'm gonna bend this blade a little bit too, make sure I got the action. It looks like this one's fresh out of the package, so I'm gonna do that by just putting a little bit of bend in this and look at it and make sure it wobbles the way I want it to. Give that coconut some good action. Pretty good wobble, you can see that. So for my kokanee leaders, I got this little leader board here. I can have a variety of colors and options on here, and it's really easy to wind them off and wind them back on and keep them clean and organized. So when you're trying to switch up stuff, you can you know, it's all right here, you can see it all, and it's not gonna be a tangled mess when you go for it.
Fish on!
Yeah, so that one was on that same wedding ring. Pink corn seems to be getting them. Just dropped that one back down to about 60 feet too, where we were graphing some fish on the live scope. About the same size as the last one. Try not to get a hook in my hand.
A little bit fatter.
Yeah. He tried to get eaten before, it looks like. He's got some line marks and stuff on him. So we know there's some big ones here. So these fish are a little smaller average than, you know, other places where you might go catch kokanee, but they are really good eating. There's a lot of mysid shrimp in the lake, and yeah, awesome table fare, great for smoking. You know, exactly what a kokanee's all about is smoking fish.
The limit for these kokanee, you can keep 15 per person, or per license, I should say. And the cool thing about Pend Orielle Lake, if you're in a boat, you can run as many rods as you want, even if you're by yourself. You can run, like in the fall when we're fishing for these rainbows, we'll run 15, 16 rods at a time out here. We'll have planer boards, so that's kind of a unusual rule that you don't see a lot of places, is the unlimited rods if you're in a boat. That's the thing. But you can keep 15 kokanee per person. The rainbows, you can keep one over 20 inches and one under 20 inches. So that's kind of a nice rule too. They're trying to protect some more of those bigger fish. And it's really proven to help over the past, you know, 10 years or so. So it's been great.
No, swim back this way. Come back. He's almost right under the boat, right over here. Let's see if we can get him to come over and bite something. Yeah, we're looking at this fish on the live scope. We finally graphed a rainbow. It's about kind of right under the boat, just right over here by this downrigger ball. I'll make a turn here and see if we can get some gear in front of his face. Just because he's on there doesn't mean there's anything close to him. So we're gonna troll around him for a minute and see if we can get him to bite.
Scared him away.
No, he came over to our dodger. He's gonna whack it. You know, the multi-species kind of fun because you're sitting here catching kokanee and then one of those rainbow rods goes off and it's got a little bit more bounce, and you know, sometimes it pulls off the clip and starts pulling drag, and it's, you know, another burst of excitement after catching, you know, fish pretty much all morning. So here's what we're running below the kokanee stuff for the rainbows. It's basically a glorified kokanee rig with the bigger sling blade. Then we just got a little bit bigger hoochie here with a little smile blade on the front of it. You'll catch the kokanee on these too, but the rainbows tend to go for the little bit bigger stuff than the kokanee hit, but they will hit the kokanee stuff once in a while too. Makes it fun when you get a 4 or 8 pound rainbow on a light noodly kokanee rod. Yeah, we're gonna put one piece of corn on there too. I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but it does definitely help, you know, get a couple more kokanee bites on your rainbow stuff, if anything. But I think that the rainbows like the little bit of scent on the hook too. Just one kernel on the treble hook. Get them?
Yep.
Yep.
Here you go, Bob.
Take it.
Yeah, with the stacker clips, you got to get stuff out of the way really fast because there's a lot of stuff going on.
We're on Lake Pend Orielle, where trout feed on the bite-sized kokanee and will fall for a trolled hoochie behind dodgers such as a sling blade. Bob Schmidt has a camloops on that's not a giant, but a good example of Pend Orielle's rainbows that do grow to over 20 pounds and are most often caught in spring and fall.
Yeah, have you step all the way back towards me, Bob? There you go. Throw it. Oh, then we got a kokanee over here. They're a little doubled up. Yep, just a kokanee on this side. Bob seems like he's got a pretty nice little rainbow. Yeah,
oh, baby.
There we go.
Nice fish. Too cool. Nice rainbow. Look how pretty that fish is.
Beautiful.
Nice, healthy, 24-incher probably. Give or take it. Swallowed the hooks there.
So they are pretty good to eat. Usually this is a pretty good eater size if you guys wanted to keep them. Super red meat, mostly a mysid shrimp diet. Yeah, they cut like, some of them even almost cut like sockeye, like very good table fare. We try to promote catch and release up here, especially on the big ones. We like those big ones to go return and spawn and have more offspring since this is a naturally reproducing lake. But yeah, if you get some in that 20 to 24-inch range, they are good table fare. Absolutely, yeah, a lot of these little guys for them to eat. So camloop is a strain of rainbow that they brought down from Canada in the 1940s?
40s, probably.
Yeah, sometime in there. It's a strain that tends to get a little bit bigger. Do they live longer?
They can spawn up to 7-8 years generally, at 7 or 8 years. Some people call them a Gerard rainbow. That was the official name or the Canadian name up north there. They can grow up to the lake record in Idaho, or I think it's the nation record is like 37 pounds. That was caught like in the 1947, I believe. So that's been we've seen a couple 30-pounders in the past 5-6 years, which is an awesome fish for a rebounding fishery. So it's been fun to see some of those big fish, but it's not uncommon like in October, November to see some in that 20, 25, 26 pound range, which anything over 25 pounds at this lake you get a patch for, and there's not many guys around that have what they call a patch fish, which is a 25 plus pounder. So it's pretty, they're very special fish to the people that live around here. Very important to the economy for like Bayview and Sandpoint and Pend Orielle and Hope area, because these fish bring a lot of fishermen in the spring and in the fall to these bodies of water. So it creates a lot of fun for these folks around here. So very precious.
That's a fishery that's just 45 minutes from downtown Spokane.
Yeah, it's close. It's easy.
Welcome back to Pend Orielle. I'm Justin Wolf. We're with Zach Moore and Jordan Smith from Fins and Feathers Guide Service. And if you're in the Coeur d'Alene area, be sure to stop into the Fins and Feathers Tackle Shop, where you can pick up all the right tackle, including Mack's lure wedding rings.
You see how Bob does on the boat flip.
That are hot for the kokanee today.
Oh yeah, natural. That was a longer one, but a little skinnier one. Still good eating. That was on the other blade.
Just put on,
yeah, wedding ring we just tied up, pink hooks, pink beads, and then this cool blade that Bob gave me. Want to talk about that blade? That's kind of cool.
That's an Indiana blade. It comes on the wedding ring UV series, so it's got the high UV blade with the glow in the dark down the center.
Put some hot wings in front of that sling blade and gives it a little bit more action, and the kokanee seem to like it.
Yeah, so we're just gonna change something up here a little bit. We got one rod that hasn't had a kokanee bite yet. We're gonna just take off these glow beads here, and we're gonna put a pink one on just to change some color. We're gonna run a little pink and orange on this one here. Just try some different colors and little different combinations and see if we can get it rolling a little bit. Need that rod to get some bites. There's enough fish down there.
You keeping that same color smile blade, or want to go with something different?
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, let's try this one first.
Okay.
I kind of like that combo there. Oh yeah, on there. Look at that thing.
That's the one you just rigged up.
Yep, just put that one out. We just rigged this one up about 2.5 minutes ago maybe, sent it out and whacked a fish real quick.
So we're just cleaning them to keep them on ice. It's good to keep them cold. We're just gonna cut them up here, cut in front of the gills there, pull the guts out, then I'm gonna clean the bloodline out, put them in a plastic bag and put them on ice. Helps keep my cooler nice and clean, and you know, at the end of the day, they'll all be cleaned and we'll be ready to go.
See if I can get them in. The kokanee tend to be a little bit elusive. Pretty easy to pull the hooks out. That's why we use these really soft noodle rods. Bring them in nice and slow, feel the fight. They're pretty squirrely. Practice my boat flip. Oh, another one on that Mack's lure. Some pink corn on it. The pink corn's been hot today. Haven't had to run any of the orange stuff yet, but we'll probably try it here before too long. Since we got some orange stuff going out, we just caught one on orange. So we'll have a mixture of stuff going out.
When you're trolling out here at Pend Orielle, you just never know what you're gonna hook into. I mean, there's 4 or 5 different species of trout out here. There's lake trout, there's the rainbow trout, which we're targeting today. There's also brown trout, and there's quite a few bull trout up in this lake as well. So it's a fun fishery. You just never know what's gonna be on the end of your line when you get it in. So it makes it kind of fun.
Yeah, Grandpa's blade. So yeah, as a kid, I remember kokanee fishing with my grandpa, and he actually gave me a bunch of tackle recently, and he had a bunch of these old Mack's lures blades with the red tape on them. I remembered catching fish on them as a kid, so we tied some up, and now it pretty much goes everywhere with me that there's some kokanee. We almost always put that one out. This is P-Line Salmon SS fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon's not really a necessity, but I've had really good luck with the abrasion resistance and toughness of this line. Yeah, great line. I use it for all my salmon leaders. Obviously, I use like 30 or 40 pound for my salmon leaders, but for kokanee and these trout up here, I'm gonna run 20 because this is gonna be a trout rod, but the 12 pound for the kokanee is awesome. You won't break them off in nets as much, and you'll just get more life out of your leaders. Bob just gave me this cool smile blade to go with my black and purple hoochie. Cool thing about these smile blades is I can bend these. You know, if I want them to spin a little bit faster, I can bend them down, or I can flatten them out for them to spin a little bit slower and tune them a little bit. We're gonna put this behind a 9-inch sling blade and see if we can get a couple more rainbows to bite. So there's a bead chain underneath this hoochie. I'm just gonna put a little bit of scent on there. I like putting it on the bead chain and not the hoochie. It'll rub off really easy when I go to take it off at the end of the day. So on that hoochie we just put out with the globe blade on it, black and purple, seems like a little nicer fish. Is that a lake trout?
Too quick to everything.
Looks like a lake trout. Probably a bully. Yeah, so these are protected fish in Idaho. They're called bull trout. They look a lot like Lakers, but I don't know if you can see. You're supposed to keep them in the water. They got pink dots on them. They're pretty distinguishable, but if you don't know what you're looking for, make sure you can ID the two.